أكبر الله أكبر.
In this week's Friday sermon, Huzoor Eda Tala bin Aziz dedicated the sermon to the life of Chaudhary Hameedullah sahib, who passed away recently on the 7th of February 2021. Hameedullah sahib was currently serving as Wakil-e-Ala in Tariq-e-Jadid in Rabwa in Pakistan, and he was also serving as Afsar Jasaslana, a role in which he served for a very long time. Chaudhary Hameedullah sahib was born in 1934 in Qadian, India. His father accepted Ahmadiyyat 5 years before his birth, after seeing a dream in which the Holy Prophet Muhammad directed him towards Ahmadiyyat. Now over to Madabuddin Sahib, who will give us some further insight into the sermon.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I would like to first just mention, so throughout the sermon, Huzoor mentioned the various services that Chaudhary Hameedullah Sahib had the opportunity to serve the Jamaat in various capacities. And there's quite a few, so some people might not know exactly what they mean. So for that reason, I'll just quickly go through them. So throughout his life, the various capacities that he served in, he was a teacher in TI College. He was Nazir Ziyafat. He was appointed by Nazir Ziyafat by the third Caliph, Hazrat Mirza Nasir Ahmad, which is the Secretary for Hospitality. Then, as you mentioned, Khalifa Masih IV appointed him as Wakil-e-Ala of Tehreek-e-Jadid, which is the chairman of Tehreek-e-Jadid, the overall in charge. Then he was also appointed the Sadr Majlis for Tehreek-e-Jadid. He also had the opportunity to serve as Amir Muqami. Then we have Khudam al-Ahmadiyya. He served as the Sadr of Khudam al-Ahmadiyya, the president of the Youth Association. At that time, because the Jamaat wasn't spread all over the world, the Sadr Majlis in Rabwa was actually the Sadr Khudam al-Ahmadiyya for the whole world. So that just puts it into perspective. And then he was also Sadr for the Elderly Association, so the Ansarullah. He was a Sadr for that association for 17 years. After the migration to London, when Rabi came, he also called Chaudhary Hameedullah Sahib to help to establish some of the offices and some of the initial problems that were here in London. And he played a great role in that. He was also the president of the Khilafat Jubilee. And as you mentioned, for a long time, he was an officer Justice Lana and played a Huzoor specially mentioned Justice Lana Qadian in organizing that. So this is a long list, and there's many things that might not have been mentioned. But this is some of his official services, his official capacities that he served the Jamaat in. And they're just, these are really big and huge responsibilities that can be laid on one individual. Carrying on, Huzoor mentioned a very special quote. And after he mentioned this he said that this quote is very lengthy, but it's worth being mentioned. And this quote is by Khalifa Masih Salis, Hazrat Mirza Nasir Ahmad. And at the end of this quote, Huzoor said that this quote is so, it has such meaning in it that we should all be praying for the high spiritual status of Chaudhary Hameedullah Sahib. For if it wasn't for him, this quote may not have reached us. So in this quote, Khalifa Masih Salis, I'll just summarize it very quickly. Khalifa Masih Salis is explaining that you have, the Prophet has explained that there's physical progeny and spiritual progeny. So it is better for us, Ahmadis, to be the part of the spiritual progeny, because the spiritual progeny of Hazrat Masih Maud can overtake the physical progeny in terms of services. It is become that spiritual progeny. One must be dedicated, towards the cause of Allah, dedicated for the services towards Allah, for His Jamaat. And Huzoor mentioned that being the physical progeny of the promised Messiah in the past as well, that they did not hold, a physical progeny does not hold any right to have respect or honor, but rather a spiritual progeny is much better in that way, and all Ahmadis should endeavor to become that spiritual progeny. A very important quote that I think was mentioned, and that everyone listening to this can relate to, is Chaudhary Hameedullah Sahib said that we learned from Khalifa Masih Salis, Hazrat Mirza Nasir Ahmad, one very, very important thing. And that was that if anyone has any personal issues in their life, many of us do. Yeah? If anyone has any issues in their life, many problems, any hurdles in their life, one way that they can overcome those is start doing Jamaat work. Because through the blessing of Jamaat work, those problems, those issues, they will dissolve, and your path will become clear. This Chaudhary Sahib highlighted that this is something that we done for Khalifa Masih Salis, and Huzoor mentioned this in his Friday sermon.
Jazakallah Marabi Sahib. May Allah Ta'ala enable us all to reach that level of Jamaat work that Chaudhary Hameedullah Sahib mentioned in that quote. We will now move to a quote directly from the sermon by Hazrat Ameerul Momineen.
Allah Ta'ala ان کے درجات بلند فرمائے اور خلافت کو ان جیسے سلطان نصیر ملتے رہیں. حالات کے متعلق بھی دعا کرتے رہیں. پاکستان کے حالات جو ہیں وہ اللہ تعالیٰ جلد بدلے اور وہاں احمدیوں کو آزادی سے اپنی زندگیاں گزارنے کی توفیق عطا ہو. دوسرے بات جو اہم بات ہے یہ بھی میں کہنا چاہتا ہوں کہ کرونا کی جو وبا پھیلی ہوئی ہے دنیا میں، اس میں احمدی بھی جو حق ہے اس کا ادا کرنے کا احتیاط کا وہ نہیں ادا کر رہے. نہ یو کے میں، نہ امریکہ میں، نہ پاکستان میں، نہ کسی اور ملک میں. پوری طرح احتیاط کرنی چاہیے. ماسک وغیرہ پہننا چاہیے. ماسک پہنا ہوتا ہے تو ناک ننگا ہوتا ہے، حالانکہ ناک ڈھکا ہونا چاہیے. یا گردن کے اوپر ماسک رکھا ہوتا ہے تو اس میں ماسک پہننے کا فائدہ کیا. پھر آپس میں قریب ہو کے ملنا، سوشل ڈسٹینسنگ نہیں رکھتے، اور جو قواعد گورنمنٹ نے مقرر کیے ہوئے ہیں، حکومت نے بتائی ہوئی ہیں باتیں، ان پر عمل نہیں کرتے. تو ان ساری باتوں پہ ہمیں عمل کرنا چاہیے، نہیں تو وبا اسی طرح سے پھر ایک دوسرے سے پھیلتی چلی جائے گی. اور یہ بھی کوشش کرنی چاہیے آج کل کہ کم سے کم سفر کریں، بلا وجہ غیر ضروری سفر کو اوائڈ کریں. یورپ سے جانے والے پاکستان جو ہیں وہ بھی احتیاط کریں. آج کل نہ ہی جائیں تو زیادہ بہتر ہے. بہرحال اللہ تعالیٰ اس وبا کو جلد دور کرے، اور جو احمدی اور بیمار ہیں ان کو بھی، اور جو نہیں ہیں، جو احمدی نہیں ہیں دوسرے لوگ بھی جو بیمار ہیں ان کو بھی شفا عطا فرمائے.